With this Oh Holy Night guitar lesson, we'll focus on a fingerstyle arrangement that works well for an unaccompanied performance with vocals. With chord diagrams, guitar tabs, and an accompanying guitar karaoke video, we'll cover it all with the step-by-step approach. For the intro, we start with a C chord, and we're going to apply basic fingerstyle technique to the middle four strings. Now, for those of you who know basic or traditional fingerstyle technique, you'll be aligning and assigning your 1, 2, and 3 fingers like so to the top 3 strings, while the thumb will pluck either the 6th, 5th, or 4th strings. But what I do is I shift my fingers down to the middle strings. I actually prefer that. So you have 2 options on the fingerstyle technique, but I'm going to show you how I go about it. And what we're going to do is, starting with that C bass note, again, the 1, 2, and 3 fingers are now on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. And we just kind of do an up and down sort of on those middle 4 strings. And what you can do to get a sense of timing, what can help is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the actual intro is played for, at least for this arrangement, for 4 measures. So let's do a slow review of that 4 measures of C. 1, 2, ready, go. Section 1 is when the vocals begin, and it features 3 chord shapes. A C chord, again just using the middle 4 strings, and then we go to an F/C chord. And again, we'll focus on just the middle 4 strings. And if you haven't played this F/C chord shape, it's a good idea to practice the transition from C to F/C. And you may note here that the 3rd and the 1st fingers, they don't move. They remained anchored. And then the middle and the pinky finger are placed down for the F/C. So if you work on that transition a couple times, that'll help. And then the other chord will be a G chord, but we will not be playing the 1 string, so you only have to worry about 2 fingers for this G chord shape. And as far as the progression goes, it'll be, again, we're applying the fingerstyle technique, 2 measures of C, 1 of F/C, then C, and then 1 C, 1 G, 2 Cs. And what we'll do is we'll do a walkthrough right now, a slow walkthrough. We'll apply that fingerstyle technique to section 1. 1, 2, ready, go. Once you have the chord progression down, if you're going to focus on using vocals, the next step is to sync the vocals with the chord changes. And the key is landing the bass note on the particular lyrics. So if we took that next step up, I'll just focus on the lyrics that land on the bass note for each chord. So it would be, oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining, 'tis the night of our new Savior's birth. Section 2 will start the same as section 1 with 2 measures of C, then 1 F/C, and then another 2 measures of C. But then we change things up. We're going to throw in some new chords here, an E minor chord shape, and I use my 2 and 3 fingers to fret that, and then an open B7 using just the middle 4 strings. And one thing to rehearse, a good idea, is to work on that transition from E minor to B7. Well, with that, you keep the middle finger down, the 2 finger, kind of anchor that, and that makes that transition a little easier because we're going to go back and forth between the 2. Now, as far as the fingerstyle approach, to the E minor and B7 section. We're going to, for the E minor, the bottom string's the bass note, and then we're going to not play the top string. We're shifting our fingers down, one measure of E minor, and then there's that transition to B7th where we just focus on the middle four strings, fifth string bass note, and then back to E minor for two measures. So let's work on that particular sequence here, E minor, B7, two E minors. Here we go from the top. And with that, we now go back to the beginning of section 2. We'll put it all together now. Slow walk through. 1, 2, ready, go. Section 3 is just a two-chord progression between G, again not playing the top string, and then C, just using the middle four strings. And it'll be two measures of G, two measures of C, and then that repeats, two measures of G, two measures of C. And now let's review that, and we'll apply the fingerstyle technique. 1, 2, ready, go. For section 4, we'll introduce two new chord shapes, an open A minor chord and an open D minor chord shape. And we're going to also apply some variations to the fingerstyle patterns here, starting with the A minor. Section 4 begins with two measures of A minor, but what we're going to do is we're going to alternate. On measure 1, we finger pick the top three strings. And then for section 2, which will be A minor, we shift the three fingers down and finger pick the 4, 3, and 2 strings. So here's how that's going to sound with A minor. Fifth string bass note. That would be measure 1, and then measure 2, the fingers shift down. So if we put that together. Then we go to E minor, and pretty much the same technique here, except we have a different bass note. Bottom string for E minor, top 3 for measure 1, and then again the bottom string, and then we shift down to the next 3 strings. Then we go to D minor, no variations here, just the top 4 strings, 2 measures, and then back to A minor, and again we go to the top, and then shift everything down for that second measure. So let's put that 4-chord sequence together now. 2 A minors, 2 E minors, 2 D minors, and 2 A minors. 1, 2, ready, go. And from there we go to the final 3-chord sequence of section 4, and that will be a C and then to G, but an alternate G. We're going to have our pinky finger down on the 2nd string 3rd fret for this G voicing, and then back to C. Now as far as the fingerstyle technique goes, there's again the variations. We're going to include the top string for the first measure of the C, so the top 3 strings actually. There's measure 1, and then we go to G again with the pinky down, bottom string bass note, and and then back to C with just the middle 4 strings. And then, sort of a stop time there, we just let that bass note ring throughout a measure. Another thing to note is it's a descending melody line for this section with the... And let's review that again, just those last 3 chords starting with the C. Now let's review all of section 4 from the top, starting with A minor. 1, 2, ready, go. In section 5, we pretty much go back and forth between different G and C chord voicings, and we're going to start with 2 measures of G with the middle strings, the 2, 3, and 4 strings, not the top 3. So the first 2 measures of G will sound like this. And then for C, just the middle 4 strings. We go back to G, but we're going to do a different voicing. We're going to put that pinky down on the 2nd string 3rd fret. And then for this pairing, which is again G to C, for C we go to the top 3 strings. So there's sort of like an ascending melody line going from the beginning. Let's do that from the top, in fact, to hear how that sounds. So starting with the G. And then the final 2 measures will be, the final 4 measures, 2 of G, this time again going back to the initial G chord. 2 measures, and then 2 measures of C. So let's put that all together now, section 5 from the top. 1, 2, ready, go. Now, combining sections 1 and 5 together would give you the first half of the piece. When we go into the second half, we'll play an interlude. That'll be 2 measures of C. And from the previous section, section 5, we ended with C. In fact, I'll back it up a little bit. Here's the ending, and then 2 Cs. And then you'll stay on the C, and here's the interlude. 1, 2. And then you'll go back into repeating sections 1 through 5 for the second half of the piece. And to end the song, what we'll do is, again, we're on the C chord. Instead of adding an interlude, we'll simply play that C bass note. So here is the ending after we repeat sections 1 through 5 again. I'll back it up a little bit from this is section 5, and then the 2 measures of C. And then the ending is simply playing the bass note for the C chord. The next step will be to practice a complete arrangement of the song, and you can do that by practicing along with my accompanying Oh Holy Night karaoke guitar video. And with that video, you can either practice singing along with Oh Holy Night karaoke, playing guitar with Oh Holy Night karaoke, or doing both.